So the thing with children is you as a parent need to create spaces to talk.
Okay.
Because typically with teenagers, and I was telling Zawadi earlier,
Mm.
they don't know how to talk.
Mm.
They talk on the gadget.
Welcome, wonderful people, to the Mind Vibes podcast. Gosh, Leo, I have a bit of the slip of the tongue, lakini tutaroll tu nayo. Last, when we were here, we got to delve into how teens have their perspective with parents and how basically they're trying to speak up and it's like they're not getting heard. But today, we want to take a dive now from the parents' perspective and actually get to know beyond the arena. What do they actually see and how do they actually deal with it? So, to my near right, I have my wonderful co host.
Hi everyone, I'm Zawadi and it's lovely being here today.
Awesome, awesome. And to my far right, you will get to see his face on a couple of social media pages here and there. It's your one and only founder and owner of Gastronome KE, Mr. Roni.
Yeah, greetings everybody, and so excited to be part of this, to share my perspective around parenting, and especially being a parent of teens. I feel like I do have a voice in that space, and lovely to hang out with Zawadi and Wesley.
Awesome, awesome. Mr. Roni, you're a dad of 4 boys. I understand that in raising them, it has to be in a particular style. Could you like try and describe what's that leadership style that you employ in your home?
Yeah, so for me, the best way that I have seen raising my children is being the model. So modeling what I want to see in my children, I have to demonstrate that for them. So what are the values that I carry? What are the things that I do that they see me do? What are the things I'm able to model for them so that as they grow up, they have a standard, they have a reference, they have a way that they can, be in a space with their friends and say, "Us guys don't do that," or "That feels a bit strange for me," because where they are living, there's a certain standard, a model. For children, it's not what you tell them, it's not what you show them. It's really what they catch. So what are we showing our children? What are we modeling for our children that they're able to see and want to do? What are the positive things? Who is your community also? Sometimes I find uh, parents would sit down or commune with people who don't showcase uh, good values,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the values could be questionable, the moral values. And that is what the children are catching. So people who are around them, the communities you sit with, they will see leadership, they will see God, they will see honesty, integrity. Another example is, what do you do when you're with your children? When you're stopped by a policeman, do you give them a bribe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When you're sitting, or you see a set of traffic lights, do you go on the red? When you're sitting on the dining table with your children and you're telling them get off the gadget, are you on your phone? So we model what we want them to see,
Yeah.
and we are the first example. Yeah,
That
we're
is
the first
true.
example.
That is true.
Because they're basically sponges, they'll mirror your own
Absolutely.
character.
Yeah. So it's not what is taught with children, it's what is caught. It's what they see, it's what they will capture. The sponges. Children, by the way, they put you in check.
Yeah.
You said you do.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing?
Accountability.
Hey, crazy.
You're telling your kids to get A's and
Exactly.
you never even had one E in
Nothing.
the whole of high school.
You didn't know what that is.
Kiasi
I
kiasi
was
pepa
always
moja
number one.
inapatikana.
Yeah.
But okay, I hear you on that note. So indeed, from what they see, from what they get to practically live out, that's the people that they become in their adulthood life and even forward, because it's like that's their foundation. And while this may be true for a couple of families out there, um, however, in the WHO, I remember saying this last time, that 1 in every 4 youths has a mental disorder symptom, and that means that something is wrong somewhere in how we do
Yeah.
our things, or maybe say even the environment. Whenever a parent gets told about, like, say, this is mental health prevention, probably your kid is facing something and you don't know, I normally see the quickest reaction is, that can't be my child.
Sure.
How does it get there, though?
Yeah. You know, the first stage of grieving, because if your child is caught smoking weed, that can't be my child. So I'm grieving. But the evidence is there.
Yeah.
Or
Denial.
rather, the evidence. Maybe they were told by a guy in the bathroom who then wants to be caught with the vape or the weed. The teacher is coming, you hold on to this thing. You're the one who's smoking it. And if you let the cat out of the bag, if you spill the beans that it is me, you're done. So
Yeah.
so we don't know whether they're smoking or not. And if they are, there's a sense of grieving. It can't be my child. I've done better. I've raised them well. I've taken them to church. They have good communities. I've taken them to good schools. How is it that we are getting to a place where they're doing these things that they're doing? So there's a denial. And we deny because we're grieving. We can't come to the reality that, maybe I dropped the ball somewhere. Maybe my work was too busy. I was providing, thinking I'm doing well for the children, but my presence not being there is affecting these children in a certain way. So this is what it is doing. So we deny because we grieve. We think we're doing the best, but are we really doing the best?
Seems that
Good question.
like there's
You
a
start
gap.
to reflect.
Yeah. Are there moments where I could have been there, but I wasn't there? I've seen families where the mom dies early, and the dad, who is the provider, has a very busy job. So he's probably moving out of the country. Every week he's out somewhere. He leaves money for the house for people to buy things and meet the needs. But the absence is very loud. So what's happening is these children are bringing up themselves. They're making decisions for themselves. They're creating moments for themselves. When the dad comes into the picture, so much has gone on.
Yeah.
There are moments that have been lost. There are habits that have been created. And you find children losing their way. I mean, some of them getting into drugs because there's nobody there to ask, what time did you come in?
Yeah.
Who are those guys I saw you with? Where is the car? Where did you leave with the car? Now it's you do what you
You're
do.
free.
Yeah, nobody questions. So now when you come back into the picture and you say, that cannot be my child, the absence did affect that child. Yeah. So there's something that we do when we are present with these children that actually allows them to know, it's almost like a thermostat. If I go too much, the thermostat kind of brings you to the equilibrium.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be physical presence, but
Absolutely.
also emotional. Like you could be seeing each other every day, but you don't talk or anything, no
True.
checkups.
Yeah.
So that also could. So you're basically strangers in the same house.
Absolutely. Like for us, an aspect of checking in with the children is such a big deal.
Yeah.
And checking in here is we have a moment where we say, tell me how you're feeling. So are you happy, sad, angry, scared, excited, or are you feeling tenderness? So it's usually around 6 emotions, but they could be many other more. So somebody could say, I'm actually feeling very confused. I did an exam today. It was really hard. I feel like I didn't prep well, and I feel very confused. And and we talk about it. So the thing with children is you as a parent need to create spaces to talk.
Okay.
Because typically with teenagers, and I was telling Zawadi earlier, they don't know how to talk. They talk on the gadget. They talk on IG, on
statuses.
TikTok. Or, my son Sean, who is 16, he sends voice notes to his friends.
Oh.
I'm like, boss, call the guy then. This data you're using, call the guy. Then you talk.
Yeah.
Because you send a voice note, the guy sends a voice note. Then you send another voice note.
But
You're
I feel
both
like
online.
it makes sense. Because when it's a phone call, you have to think on the spot, what am I going to say, what am I
But
going
we're
to say?
talking. Like,
But I feel like sometimes it works because then you can think of a response like, now what do I want to say?
yeah. So
And
maybe
then take your time.
maybe it's a generation thing.
Maybe.
Me, I want to talk to you.
It's
Then I exhaust what I need to say. I don't need to use the voice note. There are times I'll use a voice note if I'm driving because I don't want to type.
yeah.
And maybe you're busy. But the children today, and I'd say the Gen Zs, the alphas, there's a very huge attraction to hiding, to not being
mystery.
exposed. I was telling Zawadi also, like in church, you'll find these guys just, there's praise and worship, but they are like props. They're just standing.
They're just yeah.
They're not even singing.
It-
So it's just the guys on top there. Why? Because I don't want to feel I'm awkward.
Yeah. I don't want to look cringe.
I don't.
I want to look
Meanwhile,
nonchalant and cool.
Take them
and
to a
poised.
concert.
You guys, where now the boys are jumping. Even as we're jumping.
And this also gets me to analyze something. When you speak in terms of presence and like say parents who aren't there, for one reason or another, there is a sort of freedom, quote unquote, parenting style, and then there's the strict kind.
Yeah.
And is it like they have the same result that they don't give children spaces to communicate and be vulnerable? Does it take that away?
So being strict versus being
that freedom
open.
parent who doesn't know anything about
Yeah.
their child.
I think so what is strict? Usually we need to define what is strict. Is strict
Oh,
doing,
A
telling you
lot
don't
of
do.
don'ts.
yes. It's the
When I know what you're doing could be dangerous. We get a lot of fights with our children around restricting things that we see are dangerous. An example is one of the twins who's 11. He loves YouTube Shorts. So the guy can doom scroll on YouTube Shorts, and he's a footballer, so he look for all the stories,
Yeah.
all the short stories around a particular player, a game, and with all the algorithms, it will now lead you to other things that maybe you're not looking for. Could be around football,
Yeah.
but you're not looking for. So the risk there is how far is too far. And as a parent, as I'm seeing what you're doing, I can already see the end in mind. I can see the risks. I can see what may go wrong if you continue like this. So I may be seen as strict
Yeah.
because I'm trying to control how far you go. But maybe to someone else, and someone else being another parent, he's just watching YouTube Shorts for football.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like there's a sense that when I create a boundary, I may be seen as strict, but I'm coming from a place where I've seen this play out before. I know that if this is let to go, there are risks that you may get out or get to see things that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
The YouTube could just show you a video of a woman swimming. as an ad, for example. They're advertising a costume. That takes your attention immediately away from the football to the body of the woman. And as an 11-year-old, Pana, what are you doing? Putting and promoting such things. So the strict parent is cautious. Probably because they've seen this playing out before. The easy parent is not as cautious because they don't see the dangers. And, what does that mean?
I hear you. If you know the danger and you can actually see it coming, then help your kid. Like, don't let them go off the edge.
Yep.
But I would say in such a situation, where you can see the danger, like you've just said, there are ways you could actively stop that. Not specifically by saying don't, because, he's doing nothing wrong by watching the shorts, but doing something like the restrictions.
On the app.
Yeah. So I want to ask, are there any situations where you are like, don't do this, because you've seen how it's going to end, but later on you're like, maybe I was a little too paranoid?
Yeah, there are many. And I always ask myself, am I being too mean? Am I being too cautious? So I'd say it's situational. So if there are things that I feel, it's not going to hurt the child, I'm just, like say, for example, in our house, there's days to watch TV. And so if a child says, the day to watch TV is today, Friday, and they watch from 4:00. So it's Thursday. And we're done with school. It's 5:00. Dad, can we have an hour of TV? So I'll now do an audit.
Have you been good?
Have you been good? Even ask, have you done homework? Were you naughty yesterday? Were you rude? Were you rude? So there'll be almost like an audit to see whether you qualify. And there are days like Jana Thursday, we usually have a life group with some couples where we meet every weekend. So yesterday, Sean calls and says, Dad, I'm done with school, I'm back home, can I play video games? I didn't even think about it. I said, yeah, so go ahead. It's not Friday, it's Thursday. They've been doing exams, they've had a long week. It's okay. Like it's not a big deal. So I guess it's also being human as a parent, and not just having a very strict
a dictatorial.
Exactly. So even for them to also see, I'm making this call, but I know the guy's gonna say no. There's a possibility.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Exactly.
He might be having a good day.
And by the way, that becomes the door to Dad, I'm struggling.
It does. It really does.
Dad, can I have 5 minutes of your time? I want to talk something around school that is bothering me. The ability to allow them into a space that is not no. Can allow a deeper conversation to happen.
Yeah, like speaking of strictness, as I think we talk a lot about breaking generational curses per se, like, I was raised like this, I would never do that to my child. Or this and this, I remember when I would never do that to my child. If my life is like this, I won't have a child entirely. So have you noticed any correlation between how you were raised and how you're raising your kids?
Huge difference. Huge difference. We were raised by parents who were traumatized, were beaten, had very I think parents, environments like I feel like the environments were very difficult. They didn't wear shoes to go to school.
Had to fight
cross
3 lions.
mountains, swim through rivers
Going
to
to
go
school,
to school.
You're walking so far. For us, like my children, they've entered matatus, but it's very scarce. It's the moments in which they will be in a matatu is not. It's not a common feature. And in fact, I was feeling the other day, we probably need to now get them used to using a matri because tomorrow, if you need to travel by matatu, what are we doing to teach you through that process? Like, what are we creating to model that ability for you to do that?
Yeah.
So our generation, and for me, I'd say as a Gen X, is very different from the Gen Zs because for them, they do not know how you say no. If you say no, you don't love me.
Yeah.
You don't
Instant
care.
reaction.
You're so insensitive. You don't understand me. You're not even listening to me. You're so this, you're so that. My mom, if she told me no, is no.
Yeah.
Like, it ends there.
End of story.
And we can push the boundary.
Under my roof.
We can push the boundary and we say, like, I remember growing up, my mom, we are just there in the estate with our boys, with my boys, and the guys say, so I used to be called Kama, but si tuende swimo. So now I go, mom is in the kitchen, tell mom, we want to go for swimming. She says, no, you can't go for swimming. So we chill kidogo, then she leaves. Me, I'm like, by the tunaenda swimo. So me, I tell the guys, we go, and we come back. On our way back, my sisters meet me at the gate, and they're like, where did you go? My eyes are red. I haven't packed mafuta on the disc of my eyes.
Yeah.
So now I meet mother in the kitchen. Where were you? Did you go for swimming? I didn't go for swimming. So the war that broke out was crazy. Now, did it restrict me from pushing more boundaries? No. At 12 years, I stole our car at home that was just sitting. Same pressure from the guys.
Wow.
And maybe that's another thing we should talk about. Just the pressure that children go through to do certain things. Today my mom will say, if you never stole the car, if you never went for that swimming, if you never did that, if you never did this, I'd be worried. But at the time when it's happening, it's dramatic.
Very.
You can imagine a 12-year-old child
Driving.
going into a vehicle. And now they have automatic cars. Then it was manual, stick shift.
Okay.
And I knew how to drive. And we go around the Keleleshwa, Lavington, feeling the thrill of driving. Coming back to a crowd waiting for you and about to finish you.
No, did they
And
know
an
you're the one who
African-
took the camera? They thought
They
it was
knew.
stolen.
Like, even as I'm
They
taking
knew.
it, they're trying to stop us
Hey.
from going. But me with the guys in the moti, Maze, kama twende. It was crazy.
Well,
Not even in your
ulichapwa.
wildest dream.
Nilichapwa sana.
hadi mimi ningekuchapa.
Yeah. So the generations are different. Like now, I don't think the children of today would risk that level of thrill, but they're doing it privately. Like they'll be smoking, or they'll be watching porn, or they'll be using their gadgets to do certain things. So they're hiding, but I feel like there's more emotional damage today. Then it was more physical, like you're breaking the boundaries. You're ni kuchapwa tu utachapwa. You'll be beaten because of the action you've taken, but not so much emotional damage. I mean, we had games we used to play, on the streets, kati, rounders. I don't even remember those other names, but there were things that we would do out on the street, drawing markers, shake the bladder, Nowadays, they don't do that. They'll probably play basketball here and there, football here and there, but the
That's not the
engagements
in-thing.
are fewer.
And while you say that today there is more emotional damage than like for you in the past,
Sure, yeah.
how can you say that now judgment today makes people more silent? Like it makes teens more silent. It makes them to come to a point of realization like, if I dare open up, this is it. This is war.
Yeah. we live in a world today that is full of a lot of pressure. There's pressure to perform, pressure to look good, pressure to seem that you have it all together. And when there's moments where you don't feel you fit in because either you don't have it together or there's aspects that you feel make you different, you hide. And when you hide, it makes you look for things that give you that affirmation, that appreciation. And it can be as little as an AI app that would tell you, tell me something positive about me. And it comes. It can be it can even be a person. You tell the bot to give you a person. Don't write for me. Form for me a girl who will tell me good things about me. And that you now receive. But you're doing that in hiding. And that can be as creative as you want it to be. It can be as nasty as you want it to be. So there's a stark difference in, for me as a parent, how do I know when there's something wrong with my child? What are the touch points I have with them that will give me indicators that
something's up.
Something's up. So there's a phrase. Theo is our second born. There's a phrase that he was using one time. So the guy comes into the dining. So we usually sit in the dining table as a family. Stories upon stories, girl stories, car stories, disappointment stories. So now Theo comes in. He's looking very emotionally withdrawn. And so I ask, Theo, what's going on? You don't look okay. And he says, I don't want to talk about it right now. And he's very emotionally withdrawn. He eats and leaves. So that's the first day. The second day, which is the following day, same thing. So something happens, maybe he has a fight with a brother, or mom says something, or I say something. Now, when he said it the second day, I told him, you cannot say that and leave it at that. I would appreciate if you say, Dad, I don't want to talk about it right now. Can we talk about it after dinner? Or a thing we do in our house is, can I have 5 minutes of your time? And that's when I don't want to publicly share something here. I want to do it in private because it involves one guy over here. Or it involves you, and I want to talk to you privately. So I said, you cannot do that. You can ask whether we can talk about it after dinner or at a time that is suitable for you, because you being like this is affecting me as your parent. So anyway, so I walked up with him to his room, and the guy poured out how he's upset, how he's feeling. Mom doesn't understand me. You guys are as you say this to me, you do that, you do this, and crying. Now, I pictured that child who would be in a home where nobody notices that he's emotionally withdrawn, or would allow the I don't want to talk about it right now
To keep on going.
keep on going. That child in an adult form would easily commit suicide or create messages in his head that nobody cares. I'm alone. I don't matter. And those messages would lead to one thing or the other. So creating spaces where as parents, as communities, we become sensitive to our children or those around us by noticing, like, you don't seem fine, Zawadi. I know you. What's going on? Just that question, whether you stonewall me, which is what you guys now do, it's my duty to keep at it and keep coming. You know, you may not want to talk about it right now. I'll check in with you in an hour. Because I know there's something wrong. You know, just that itself will allow you to share.
That's really beautiful. Especially since we hear a lot of this, men should be this, men should be that, men should be hiding their feelings, emotions, or weaknesses. It's really beautiful to see you raising
Yeah.
boys in a certain way that they can share their emotions. That's really nice.
So, in simple words, it's that the confidence for teens, the way we can give confidence for the teens to the teens for them to speak up, it's simply by checking up on them, like seeing how they are and actually giving them room for expression.
Absolutely. Yeah. That they have a voice, that they can speak, that there's nothing that is too small.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, not shutting them down like, what are you fussing about? Or, you know, what are you complaining about? You know, allowing them to speak, because it gives them the energy
Yeah.
to even share the big things. But if we don't create those spaces for them, even the small things of, I don't feel I'm okay, won't come. Yeah. So being open to creating that safety for them to share.
And what would you advise another parent, like let's say that child has gone to them with a big thing, like the example you gave before of the kid who gave them the vape, hide it if you tell, and something like that, and now they come to that heavy thing, how would you react? Or how would you tell a parent to, step by step? Or, yeah.
So first thing is creating a community. You know, children are brought up by a villager. So there are people my children connect with deeper than they do with me, or rather, they feel more comfortable. So if Sean came, or the teacher told me that Sean was found with vape at school, and I feel I'm just gonna slap this child. I call this guy or this person I know who connects with him, and he's calmer. He's more open, friendly, you know, and they connect.
Yeah.
So I'll call him and tell him, hey, bro, there's a nini over here. There's a situation here. Sean has been caught with this thing, and are you able to have a conversation with him? So then now I'm dealing with a proxy, but we're still dealing with the issue. So me I'll go in maybe a bit more brash because of the shame. Like, same thing, I'm grieving.
Yeah.
Like, where did I drop
can't
the ball?
believe it.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even smoke myself. So what are you doing?
Where did it begin?
Where are you picking this thing up from? And it could simply be, the peer
Curiosity.
pressure.
Yes.
Like, I'm doing it. My friend is doing
movie.
it. Yeah, just have a puff. And that thing you've said, no. The time you do this, that's when the teacher has
Bas.
walked in.
Yeah, the example.
Nimepaka hapo tu kwa window.
Yeah.
Wewe kuja hapo kuja.
Hao wengine wako hivi, not us. We were not- and everybody has had the path. So it's there's a very famous quote that was said by a man that has done a lot of work with families, and he said, "You can't unsmoke the smoke." Meaning that if a child is caught doing something, and let's assume the vape or weed or a drink, if they've done it, they've done it. So let's deal with it because it has happened. But to incriminate and to put them down, shun them down,
Give judgment.
give those judgments, you're not helping that child, and you're pushing them back into a hole, and to draw them out will take so much energy that you're at risk of even losing this child.
Yeah,
They'll just block you out, or they'll find other people who can really remind them of how amazing they are, and you're not in control of that. That could be anything, it could be anyone.
So, okay, just before we shift things to a different topic, to also put a pin on what you've said, a lot of kids out here. Okay, let me use a very relatable example. Najua tumwaisikia, hey, huyo ni mtoto wa pasi. And the things that they will do,
Yep.
you will be shocked. Utaangalia hivi useme, I never thought this was possible.
Yeah.
And it normally happens, or like it normally strikes them the moment wameingia uni. because now they are away from home. Now they've been given freedom, and now the way they think of everything, oh, nilikuwa naambiwa no hapa, no hapa,
Yeah.
hii pia. So yeah, definitely not dishing out judgment and not incriminating your child even from younger stages can really determine the type of model they will shape up to be.
Very true. Very true.
We've spoken on kids learning on practicality. We have a debate that is coming up. Probably by the time this is released, it's probably ongoing.
Okay.
Many people are trying to ask, so why are you guys doing a debate? Why is it not just an event for you to mentor them or just teach them, like in a classroom? And we were like, practicality sends a stronger message home, one that they can attach to.
Yeah.
In which I find like now with the debate, it's actually that because they are now participating. Like, so to bring you now onto that, is there something you've ever given your kid to do research on, and they went
And researched. Specifically, me giving them something to research on? No. But they have things that they research around, or questions that they have, and we would say, let's put it on the table and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What have you seen? What have you heard? Like the other day, Sean was telling me about some tech that is being used to create some engineering. And I could not understand what he's talking about. And I'm like, even the practicality around it. But I said, I'll be curious. So let's talk about it. And he defended it. And he said, this is what is happening. And you can even check here. And we checked there. So I was amazed at how far we went into this conversation. Me as a parent being curious and really probing and asking those questions. And him being the person who is pushing an argument, pushing this idea. It was ridiculous. In a normal setting, impossible. But it's the debate around it that I felt was powerful, because it's actually making him believe that this is a ridiculous idea. But actually, having spoken about it, it can be a reality, and maybe it's putting it in the right hands, in the right ideas, or minds that can actually make it happen. So, yeah. So I can't say we practically give them areas to research around. It's in our house. There's conversations morning to evening. There's a lot of stuff to talk about and debate around.
Because I feel like it's really good independence when your child can get to go out there and find information for themselves and come now, work through it, and then bring it now back to you in a way that they've understood it and they can actually stand for it.
Correct.
Now, like the way you're saying.
Yep.
So to all the people out there, we are having a debate campaign that's going to be stretching from April 12th? Yeah. To April 29th. And this is going to be in the College of Insurance, unless otherwise. And it's going to be simply structured on mental health prevention. So definitely be sure to pass by, see how things are going. And if you want to register, well, get on with it. And if by the time you're seeing this video and you're finding out that you can't register, well, till next time. But still, onto that though, when kids get to do things for themselves, do you think that it gets to stick more, or is it like a passive interest?
No, it definitely will stick more. There's a lot of ownership, even for us as adults. If I do something for myself and I come up with the idea, I form the steps in which it will use to become the plan that I want it to become. I own that thing, Bana. It's mine. I built it. Theo, our second born, is a Lego animator.
Wow.
He puts stories together with Legos. So you find a picture of a guy, he's going to punch you,
Oh, that's so cool.
and every shot is a movement.
Wow.
and he pieces it together as a story, and he's the narrator
Ooh.
with the different voices. I mean, it's amazing.
With even
Wow.
different voices.
You know,
Tag him.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wanna
so even
follow
has a
him,
YouTube
eh?
channel. He's he's posting his stuff over there.
Wow.
So
creative stuff.
yeah, like where do you allow that? How do you nurture that? Because tomorrow he'll be in Walt Disney over there with those guys making animations of things that
That'd be awesome.
the world is watching. So yeah, so allow your children to express themselves. We're a very musical family. The boys, we play a lot of guitar, drums. We participate in school concerts, and allowing children to express themselves in areas where they are strong is very powerful.
Yeah.
Because it gives them a sense of being. Like, I believe I can. I believe I have what it takes. I may not be strong academically, but when I'm playing, or when I'm creating, or when I'm drawing, I get my juice. Something comes over me.
And if you don't already know, Roni is a chef. So do you cook with your sons?
I do, and the other day Sean made some pasta. Some pasta with some tomato sauce. And now comes into the office. I have a home office, and he says, "Dad, taste this." And I look at it, I taste it, I give him feedback, and he's oozing with pride because I've made something, and he wants me to show him how to do this. He wants me to show him how to do that. When I'm cooking, they're all there, watching and trying, and yeah, so they're very keen. And as I said, I model. I'm the yardstick that they see and they want to be like. Imagine a home where the father never steps into the kitchen. It's a taboo to be in the kitchen.
I know many people relate.
And now a home like mine, where the men in the house cook.
Are you adopting?
Yeah. So if you imagine if Zawadi, for example, grew up in a home where her father never entered the kitchen, and she married a man who the father was always in the kitchen, it would be a very awkward,
very strange interaction.
interaction, because Zawadi is telling the husband, "This is my space. Don't come in here." The husband is like, "Me, this is my space. I do this." So it would allow a lot of compromise conversations, or even somebody who grew up where the father was always in the kitchen and is marrying a man who never entered the kitchen. She would think, "You're such a lazy guy."
Honestly.
Like my dad used to do this. Sundays were special. You just sit there and read your newspaper, or
Expect me
newspapers.
to
Then now
bring your
it's
food.
phones, and you serve. So it creates an interesting dynamic. But I mean, all in all, I feel for me it models the principle of servant leadership. I give, I offer, I go through the trouble of marinating, and when I cater it for you, and you're like, yeah, Dad, you need to show me how to do this. It's I feel like it oozes with a lot of care, pride, enjoyment. Yeah, we're having conversations around the rubs now. What rub did you use for the meat?
And that's would I be right to assume that you don't push the narrative of gender roles to your kids?
No,
That's awesome.
There's the defined ones where you need to be responsible. You need to live in integrity. There's the qualities, but a man does this and a woman does this. I don't think I've even had that conversation with them, because as I said, like, it's what are they seeing?
Oh yeah.
What are they watching? What are they seeing?
Practicality.
Like in our house, for me, my wife, she works. She's a loctician. She does sister locks, but she also homeschools the younger ones. who are joining school in September now, but they know mom is the teacher. They know mom does clients' hair, but they also know dad works and he has a business, and he goes and he comes back, or he works from home. You know, so the understanding of the roles is what they're seeing. You don't need to tell them.
Yeah. And that I was mentioning the gender roles because in our society, we're talking about mental health. I've had men telling men when a man is talking about their emotions, your new mama, you know?
Yeah.
So, and they're pushing this narrative of strength towards men. So, how do you teach that strength and vulnerability can both coexist?
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Now, vulnerability in our house is modeled by openly checking in. And checking in here is I feel sad, angry. Dad, you came late to school today. I felt angry that you came late. You never are late, but today I felt it was raining. I was cold, and I was angry. So we open the spaces to share.
Yeah.
Now, in that space, there'll also be, like, the two older boys have gone through circumcision. And circumcision is a moment where, as the father, we speak a lot about masculinity. We speak about what does being a man really mean? We open Bible verses. I involve peers who are my age to sit with these boys.
Yeah.
Their grandfather to sit with these boys, to tell them what it means to be a man. Now, when we define masculinity in the presence of others, it's not a daddy thing. It's a man thing. We go for camps with other fathers, and we have experiences as young men and as fathers together. So masculinity can never be defined by the father. It's defined by a community of men. It's defined by people who actually say what manhood is, because they will not listen. You know, for you need to model it. For them, it's if they hear it over and over again, it begins to be something that is true. So I'd say, in terms of masculinity, find communities that help you define it. But in terms of emotional vulnerability, you need to lead it as the parent.
And
Like it starts from home.
It starts from home, for sure. Home, for me, is the most safest space that exists.
wow.
The minute I leave home, now I'm
You're on
not
your
sure how
guard.
it's going to go down.
Yeah.
But at home, I'll fart, I will screw up, I'll do the most ridiculous of things, but the world is never forgiving. Home is always forgiving.
True.
Absolutely.
And at home, they know you as a great father. Your community knows you also as a great role model. But with you've also still shared that the way you were raised up is definitely not how you raise your kids up.
Yeah.
So to bridge that, were there any books, any tools that made you understand raising kids better?
Yeah. So we in church, I served, my area of ministries is definitely family. So I always find myself, I'll be in spaces where men are doing work, and work here is camps. Like now, I met Joe at it's called the Crucible Project. We were doing a retreat together, specifically for men.
Yeah.
My wife Chidi and I do a lot of couple marriage programs and experiences. There's also LAIR or family ministry programs that teach you how do you bring up godly children. So in all that, there's books, there's groups, there's camps, there's retreats, there's all these things that teach us how to be the right models around all these spheres of life. And I say there's no formula that we get. It's
As the absolute correct.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's none, because it changes every day. Like even when Theo was saying, I don't want to talk about it right now, for me to think that you can't say that, you can't continue saying that. We need to create a place where we talk about it. It came to me at that point because I'm seeing there's a danger here.
Yeah.
If I allow it to keep sleeping, I'm not sure how far it will go. So I feel like there's no book that will tell you that stop the child and ask him what it is. Maybe there could be a community, so somebody who has gone ahead of you.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I can help you guys when you have children,
True.
or people who are behind me who have younger children, but we are the same peers, as to what I did with Theo. Because they're like, my child is so emotionally withdrawn, I don't know what to do. Have the conversation with them. Allow them to create a safe space for them to share. So there's the rule book to do, take A and B, and if A and B doesn't work, you C. It doesn't exist. Yeah, but creating a place where the child can trust that what you're saying, how present you are, how you make them feel really matters. I think for me that's the bottom line.
As well as having a community. So
And
that's-
having a community.
and a good community. Yeah.
100%.
Don't want your kids being in that space of, this is Uncle so and so, he drinks every day. Go
Correct.
with him.
Correct. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Like I was telling my wife the other day how there's something that happened that triggered a memory. I saw myself with an uncle going to South Sea.
Yeah.
And just that thing of you've gone to visit them, you're not doing anything, and you decide. The guy says, "You want to come? Yeah, let's go." So we go, and we're in South Sea. We're in a bar. He's with his pals. Me, I'm watching TV. But I'm thinking, what am I doing here? This is out of anything that would happen in my house.
Yeah.
So there's discomfort. I'm feeling awkward. There are people doing things that I don't subscribe to.
Yeah.
And so it made me angry. So today, if I'm at a place where I am not feeling I connect with, or I've taken you somewhere, and you make me sit there either longer than you said you would, and I'm wondering, what am I doing here? I get angry. I get triggered by that memory. Because I want to be in spaces where I'm feeling I'm adding value, or it's useful of my time. It's good use of my time. So if I'm just in a place chilling, wondering what are we doing here, there's a way that I'll feel about it. So those experiences as children, they will show up in your adulthood.
True.
Whether it's a need, whether it's a trauma that you had, whether it's something that you're seeking, that you really want for yourself. Either it's words of affirmation, or appraisal, because you are really beaten as a child. Whoever is giving you those words of appraisal or affirmation, you need to be cautious, because it could be the wrong direction, and then that will lead you, opposite from where you want to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me say my final statement as now we begin to wind up. So what I'm taking from today is progress over perfection.
Yep.
Like, as a parent, one should be ever evolving, ever engaging, not having a comfort zone of sorts, because things can change, and sometimes you also need to do things right at the moment, like the way you are saying about your kid saying, I'm not feeling like speaking about it right now, and you had to tell him that we don't say that, say that, and then tell me, like, let me have you after dinner.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and as well as having a very good community. Like you need some upright people if you
100%.
want an upright child,
Mm-hmm.
and back at home you need to also be an upright parent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And open and,
open.
willing to, like, there's nothing too small to discuss.
Nothing,
No.
nothing.
Whether I felt dumb doing the exam, whether I got 1 out of 60 in the exam. Yeah, let's talk about that. What did you feel about that?
Yeah.
What can you do better? And like, let's make everything a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because with as I
Make it
said,
your
with
world.
with the teenagers,
for
with the
real.
children of today, they do not know how to talk. They don't know how to talk. The relatability of today is not the same that we had. So opening up spaces for them to share is gold.
True, true.
It's gold, yeah.
And what about you, Zawadi? Any closing statement?
I've learned so much. If I was planning to have a kid, that right now I'd be more confident.
Oh.
Because I've gotten a lot of insights. Now I somewhat understand parents, like my parents when I was a teenager, because some of the examples you gave were, I just don't feel like you people understand me and stuff like that. The point you gave about the grief, that my child could never do that.
Exactly.
That was very eye-opening because you take it personally. And for just a question, we've asked about, where you get your parenting skills, books, people.
Yeah.
But is there something no one told you about having kids that you would want to tell someone?
Yeah. What comes to mind is be the example you want to see in your children. I don't think anybody told me that. And that's hard. Because we're human beings.
Yeah.
You had to change a lot between old Roni
Boss,
and dad Roni.
sacrificing,
Yeah.
knowing that I won't do. I want to do, but I won't do. For the benefit of these children.
True.
Denying and dying. You're putting to death things that gave you so much joy, but within a moral context or within a context where you would bring up children that are upright, it doesn't fit. And even children aside, even marriage, the things I've had to let go of. People, property, money, things that give you a sense of being.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, this life, it cannot exist if this person is in my life.
So you have to prioritize and sacrifice a lot.
Completely, yeah, completely, yeah. Nobody told me that, and life just shows you that there are things that you have to prioritize, and family is, if not number one, it is number two.
So you have no regrets.
I have no regrets. Like for me, my number one role is to ensure that these children I raise them to be confident. I raise them to be able to connect with their emotions, to feel what they are feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they're out there in the marketplace, to know that there's nothing that is too small, that they have everything that I have given them in my power to succeed. And they will succeed. Like they'll succeed, and for as long as God is going to allow me to be with them, I will teach them as much as I can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I know you were still answering a question, but will that be your closing statement, or you've still got something else?
Maybe I'd say, for me, parenting is a gift. There are people who want to be parents, and unfortunately, biologically, they cannot. They can adopt children, but they don't have the mechanics in their body to allow them to have children. So I'd say for me, the fact that we have 4 children is a blessing.
True.
And so because it is a blessing and a gift, I take full responsibility to ensure that I create spaces for these children to know that given anything that is thrown at them, that as their father, I have the absolute right and privilege to walk life with them. I even tell them, I used to tell them, if somebody's messing with you in school, tell them, you guy, my dad is going to rough you up. So don't mess with me.
Yeah.
So there's a confidence that you guy, I
they
have
can
your
walk
back.
with.
Nobody can mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they mess with you, as if they're messing with me. Yeah, so so there's a sense of trust I create. There's a sense of safety. There's a belief that there's nobody like me. There's nobody like me in their life. Do we get disagreements? We do. Will I punish you and ban you and do things that make you feel like you've messed up? I will. But that aside, it doesn't change my love for you. We when they were growing up, we used to give them chapas or vibokos based on how old you are. So you come to the room, there's like a place where we do it. We take the gadget, and I ask you, how old are you? 9.
So 9.
9 strokes. Jokes aside. So by the time you're getting to 5, and then I say, if you prevent me from hitting, I had another one. I had one. So and even after that, we sit and have a conversation, and I tell you, by the way, I love you, but imagine I have to do this.
It hurts you more than it hurts me.
Okay. If it's normally a perspective we grew up with, alongside the lines of nachapa makosa, see where
So
which you see it later now when you are older, but at that time we were like you. Alafu, it was even a bit more dramatic when African mothers would add the line, sasa nani anafanya ulie?
Where?
Nani amekusumbua? But anywho, I totally hear you. Discipline is also love. Discipline is also
100%.
love.
Yeah. If you don't discipline, you don't love. If you let things slide, if you don't correct, there's a problem. The Bible says, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." Like you need to have a sense of correction to ensure that you pass on something to the child. If it's just free for all, what world are we creating?
True.
Yeah.
Well, and with that, we've now come to the end of another wonderful episode. Please see in our description all the links that will be related to this podcast. I know you have several socials, so we'll definitely make sure to have those in our description as well for all events related to Gastronom KE. He's a really great chef. Usimwone hivyo, anajua kupika. Kila kitu. Siadi nini? Chapati. Ama zinatoka square.
No.
Like early warning.
By then, you can flap them.
Hey. So with that, wonderful people, till next time, this has been the UMV Podcast, where we converse, prevent, and thrive mentally. Bye-bye.